The planet called Tiras was quiet after the disaster. The sky was always gray, and the ground was covered in cold rocks and strange blue moss. 5 alien children were hiding in a broken storage room of what was left of their crashed ship. Their names were Lynn, Rook, Xena, Pel, and Tama. None of them came from the same world, and they all looked very different. Lynn was tall and thin with green skin and big golden eyes. Rook had blue fur and 6 small arms. Xena's body was covered in soft scales, and she always stayed close to Pel, who was the smallest and had bright pink skin. Tama, who never spoke, had tiny wings and glowing spots on her cheeks. They did not know what to do. They had been hiding for 3 days now. Their food had run out the night before. The adults who once cared for them had not come back after going to find help. The children could only hear distant sounds, sometimes wind, sometimes the call of a wild beast. It was cold, and they tried to stay close together for warmth. They whispered about what would happen to them. Lynn tried to be brave and told the others that help would come, but no one really believed it anymore. Rook wanted to look for food, but the wild things outside made them afraid to go far. Xena remembered hearing that humans sometimes explored far planets. She told the others that maybe humans would come. Tama shook her head. She remembered the stories from her parents. She whispered that humans eat meat. They have sharp teeth. Sometimes they even eat things that are still moving. Pel listened with wide eyes and asked what would happen if a human came. Would the human eat them? Xena said she did not know. Rook thought humans might not be as bad as the stories said, but Lynn said it was better to stay hidden. On the 4th morning, a strange sound woke the children. It was not like the wind or the cries of wild animals. It was a deep humming, steady, and mechanical. They peeked through the cracks and saw a small spaceship landing nearby. Smoke rose from its engines, and the ship's legs sank into the mossy ground. The door opened, and the human walked out. The children watched quietly. The human was a woman with brown hair tied back and wore a thick jacket and boots. She moved slowly, checking the ground, and called out in a soft voice. The children could not understand her words, but they could tell she was not yelling. She walked around the wreckage and then stopped near their hiding place. Lynn pulled the others back, holding her breath. Pel hid behind Rook. The human crouched down, setting something on the ground. It was a package of food, wrapped in shiny material. She opened another package for herself and took a bite. The children watched as she ate calmly and then left the package for them, moving a short distance away to sit on a rock. Rook was the first to creep forward. He sniffed the air, unsure what the package was. Xena joined him. They touched the food. It smelled strange but not bad. The others followed. They looked at the human, who just smiled and waited. Lynn tried a small piece. It tasted sweet. Pel giggled and started eating. Tama was still afraid, but hunger won, and she finally took some too. The human watched, her eyes kind and patient. She never tried to get close. Instead, she waited while the children ate. After a while, she stood and walked back to her ship, leaving the children to talk. They wondered if she was really a dangerous human. Pel thought maybe she was not a carnivore at all. Xena was not so sure. Lynn said they should wait and see what she did next. The next day, the human came back. She brought more food this time, with different shapes and colors. She sat nearby and spoke in a gentle voice, pointing at herself and saying her name. Lavra. The children did not speak her language, but Lavra kept talking, using her hands to show she meant no harm. She pointed at each of them, trying to learn their names. Slowly, one by one, they told her. Lavra smiled each time. As the sun set, the children sat close to each other, full for the first time in days. They watched Lavra as she built a small fire and cooked something in a pan. The smell drifted to them, and they saw her eat a piece of something brown and crispy. Pel whispered that maybe this was the meat the stories talked about. Lynn wondered if humans only ate that kind of food. Rook thought maybe humans just needed friends like everyone else. Night came, and the children tried to sleep. Lavra stayed close, watching over them from a safe distance. The wind was not so cold with her nearby. The children still felt afraid, but now there was hope. Maybe this human would help them. Maybe she was not like the stories at all. In the morning, the children woke up to the smell of food again. Lavra was sitting by her small fire, cooking something in a pot. The children were nervous but hungry, and their fear was slowly changing to curiosity. Lynn watched Lavra closely. The human smiled and waved at them, then pointed at the pot and then at herself. She wanted them to know she was making food for herself, not for them. Lavra opened another package and set it on a flat rock near the children. This package was filled with small, round fruits and thin, flat pieces of bread. She showed them it was safe to eat by taking a bite herself, then stepping back to give them space. Xena was the first to try the new food. She took a piece of fruit, tasted it, and nodded. Pell, always hungry, grabbed some bread and started chewing. Rook looked at Lavra with his 6 arms wrapped around himself. He slowly reached for the food. Lynn and Tama waited, watching the human, trying to decide if they could trust her. Lavra did not try to come closer. She just sat by her fire, watching the sky and humming a soft song. Tama liked the song and moved closer to listen. After breakfast, Lavra began to clean up. She took the empty packages and put them in her bag. She did not leave anything behind. Lynn noticed how careful Lavra was with the planet. She never threw anything away and always covered her fire with dirt when she was done. The children whispered about this. Xena said maybe humans cared about other places, not just their own homes. Pell thought Lavra was different from the scary stories. Lavra started to build a shelter with her own hands. She gathered branches, big leaves, and some pieces from her ship. She showed the children how she tied things together to make the shelter strong. She made it big enough for all of them. Lavra worked slowly so the children could see what she was doing. Rook, curious, helped by bringing sticks. Xena handed her leaves. Pell tried to help but was too small, so he just watched. Lynn and Tama stayed back, but they did not run away. When the shelter was finished, Lavra sat in the entrance and rested. She smiled at the children and tapped her chest, saying her name again. Lavra. She pointed to each child and waited for their names. Lynn said her name first. Rook, Xena, Pell, and Tama followed. Lavra smiled at each one, trying to say their names back. The children laughed when she said them wrong, and Lavra laughed with them. The fear in the group was less now. That night, Lavra cooked a new kind of food. It was a stew with vegetables, roots, and pieces of dried meat. The children watched closely. Pell asked if the meat was from a wild animal. Lavra nodded and showed them the package it came from. She tried to explain that some humans eat meat, but not all food was meat. Lavra took a small bite and then offered the stew to the children. Lynn tasted it first. She found it was good. Xena tried it too. Pell, Rook, and Tama tasted it. It was different, but they liked it. They talked about how the stories made humans sound much scarier than Lavra was. Later, Lavra drew pictures in the dirt. She made a drawing of a house and pointed to herself, then made drawings of the children and drew a big circle around all of them. She wanted to show they were together. The children understood and smiled. Lavra also drew pictures of animals and different foods. She tried to show which things humans could eat and which things were safe for the children. The children drew pictures too, teaching Lavra about their own planets and what they liked to eat. There was a lot of laughter that night. As the days went by, Lavra brought new foods for the children to try. She asked questions with her hands, pointing and waiting for yes or no. The children started to trust her more each day. Lavra always made sure the children had what they needed. She checked their shelter for safety, brought water, and cleaned the area around them. Rook liked to help Lavra with small jobs. Pell liked to sit near Lavra and listen to her stories, even if he could not understand the words. Lynn watched everything Lavra did, trying to learn about her. Xena and Tama stayed close to the group, happy to be together and not afraid anymore. One evening, as the sun went down, Lavra sat with the children near the fire. She pointed at the stars and told a story in her own language. The children listened, letting the sound of her voice make them feel safe. The sky was dark, but they were not scared. Lavra was not like the humans from the old stories. She was gentle and careful, and she made sure the children were never hungry. The children began to believe that Lavra would protect them no matter what. Days passed quietly on the strange planet. Lavra became a part of the children's world. Every morning, she woke up first and checked the shelter. Sometimes there were new animal tracks in the moss, but Lavra always made sure nothing was dangerous. Nearby, she greeted each child with a gentle smile. Pell always rushed to her side, asking what they would eat that day. Rook watched Laura's every move, curious about everything she did. Lynn, the tallest, wanted to help but was still shy. Xena liked to sit close to Lavra when she told stories at night. Tama was quiet but followed the group and sat close when she thought no one noticed. Lavra liked to talk, even if the children did not understand all her words. She pointed to things, made faces, and used her hands. Sometimes she drew in the dirt to help them understand. One day, she drew a picture of a house with many children inside and pointed to herself. The children understood. She was showing them that she wanted to care for them, just like a family. At night, Lavra would sometimes sit alone and look at the stars. The children wondered why she looked sad when she thought no one was watching. Xena asked Lavra why she was sad. Lavra tried to explain, using words and pictures. She drew a small picture of herself and then drew a big group far away. She made a sad face, then put her hand over her heart. The children understood. Lavra missed her family. Lynn touched Laura's hand to comfort her. The others sat close, and they all stayed together in silence for a while. The next day, Lavra told the children a story. She pointed to the stars and drew a circle around them. She said many words, and though the children did not know all the words, they listened. They saw that Laura's face was bright with hope when she talked about new beginnings. The children started to feel safe with Lavra, like she was their new family now. Lavra also taught the children new things each day. She showed them how to make small tools from sticks and rocks. She taught them how to find water and to stay away from dangerous plants. She even made simple toys for them to play with. Pell loved the toy the most, and Rook tried to copy how Lavra built it. The children began to share stories of their own homes. Rook made shapes in the dirt that looked like his old house. Lynn used a stick to show what her people used for food. Xena drew pictures of animals from her world, and Tama drew her family, who had wings like hers. Lavra listened with a kind face, making the children feel like she cared about their stories. One afternoon, as Lavra was teaching the children to make a shelter, Pell asked why she wanted to help them. Lavra thought for a moment and drew a small heart in the dirt. She pointed to the children and smiled. Then she showed her empty hands and her sad face again. She wanted to tell them that her heart felt empty before she met them. Now, with the children, her heart was full again. The children were touched by this. Lynn promised to help Lavra every day. Rook said he would find more sticks for the shelter. Xena made bracelets from grass and gave one to Lavra. Pell hugged Laura's arm, and even Tama gave Lavra a gentle smile. Each night, Lavra would watch the stars with the children. She told them stories about her home, about trees that touched the sky and animals that sang in the morning. The children listened, dreaming of Earth and of new adventures. Lavra told them that family could be many things. It could be people who looked different or who came from different worlds. What mattered most was caring for each other. The children began to believe this. They did not feel alone anymore. They had each other, and they had Lavra. Together, they made plans for the next day, hoping for rescue but not feeling afraid anymore. Lavra promised them she would stay as long as they needed her. The fear of the unknown was less, replaced by the warmth of their new family. It was late at night and the fire was low. Most of the children were sleeping, but Lavra was still awake. She sat near the fire, making sure it would not go out. Lynn and Xena were both asleep beside her. Pell was snoring softly under a blanket. And Rook and Tama lay close together, dreaming of their homes. The night was colder than before, and the wind made strange sounds. Lavra put some more sticks on the fire and looked out into the dark. Suddenly, Lavra heard something moving in the trees. She stood up and looked around. She picked up a long stick and walked toward the sound. Laura's heart was beating fast. but she tried to stay calm. She listened carefully and saw a big shadow moving near the edge of the camp. Lavra quickly walked back and woke the children. She whispered for them to stay quiet and close together. The children did as she said. Lavra stood between them and the darkness. Then the shadow moved closer, and they all saw it was a wild animal. It was very big, with 4 legs and long, sharp teeth. The animal sniffed the air, smelling the food and the children. Pell was scared and held Laura's hand. Rook whispered that the animal looked hungry. Tama tried not to cry. Lavra made herself look bigger. She waved her stick and shouted at the animal. The animal growled and stepped forward. Lavra did not back away. She picked up a burning stick from the fire and held it out. The animal did not like the fire. It stopped and looked at Lavra with bright yellow eyes. The children watched Lavra and felt afraid, but they saw she was not running. Lavra shouted again and threw a small rock at the animal's feet. The animal growled louder, but then it stepped back. Lavra waved the burning stick again and shouted even louder. The animal turned and ran back into the trees. Lavra waited until she was sure the animal was gone. She put out the burning stick and told the children it was safe now. The children were very quiet. They watched Lavra, amazed by what she had done. After a while, Rook asked Lavra if she was scared. Lavra nodded and smiled. She told them that sometimes everyone feels scared, but it is important to be brave and protect each other. Lynn said Lavra was very strong. Pell said she was a hero. Even Tama hugged Lavra for the first time. The children sat closer to Lavra that night, feeling safe because she was there. The next morning, Lavra checked around the camp. She found the animal's tracks in the moss. She showed the children how to look for signs of danger and how to stay safe. Lavra explained that fire could help keep wild animals away. She taught them how to build small fires and how to use sticks to make noise. If they ever needed to scare something away, the children wanted to learn everything Lavra could teach. Lynn learned to watch for animal tracks. Rook learned to make loud noises with sticks and rocks. Xena helped Lavra collect firewood, and Pell made funny faces to help everyone laugh when they felt scared. Tama started to talk a little more, asking Lavra about the animals on her home planet. Each day, Lavra helped the children get stronger. She made sure they practiced working together. She said that when everyone works together, they are much stronger than when they are alone. The children listened and tried their best. They also taught Lavra things from their own worlds. Rook showed Lavra a game with stones that his family played. Lynn taught everyone how to make a simple whistle from a leaf. Xena and Tama made colorful bracelets from grass and gave one to Laura. That evening, after another day of learning, the children talked about the night before. They remembered how Lavra had protected them from the wild animal. Lynn said that maybe humans were not so scary. After all, Pell said he wanted to be brave like Lavra. Rook thought that maybe humans were heroes in their own way. Lavra listened to the children and smiled. She told them that everyone can be brave. She said that being brave does not mean you are never afraid. It means you try to help others even when you are scared. The children all agreed. They felt proud and strong together. As the sun set, Lavra cooked dinner, and the children shared their food and stories. The night was quiet, and the fire burned bright. Lavra watched the children as they laughed and played, feeling happy that she could keep them safe. Days turned into weeks on the planet called Tiras. The strange group had grown close. Lavra had become like a mother to the alien children. They learned from each other every day. Lavra taught the children how to cook simple meals. She used plants and fruits from the planet and showed them how to use fire safely. The children were curious about the food Lavra ate. They asked her many questions about why humans eat meat and what it tasted like. Lavra explained that humans are omnivores. They eat many kinds of food, plants, fruits, and animals. She told the children that some humans choose not to eat meat, but others do. She said eating meat helped early humans survive in tough times. The children listened with interest, learning that humans were not so strange after all. The children shared their own food customs. Lynn told Lavra about the special plants from her home. Rook explained how his people gathered honey from tall trees. Xena shared stories about her people's harvest festivals. Pell liked to talk about sweet fruits, and Tama told of flying games. Her family played. Lavra listened carefully, learning about their lives and the worlds they came from. One day, Lavra helped the children plant a small garden near their shelter. She showed them how to care for the soil and water the plants. The children worked hard to make the garden grow. It gave them hope to see the green leaves and bright flowers in the cold, rocky land. The garden became a place where the children could play and learn together. Lavra also taught the children about the stars. She pointed to the night sky and told stories about constellations. The children loved the stories and began to imagine their own adventures among the stars. Sometimes Lavra talked about Earth, her home planet. She described tall trees, wide oceans, and cities filled with people. The children dreamed of seeing such places one day. As the children grew stronger, they learned more about survival. Lavra taught them to build traps to catch small animals for food. She showed them how to find clean water and stay safe from dangers. The children practiced these skills, helping each other and working as a team. They were no longer afraid of the wild planet. The bond between Lavra and the children grew stronger every day. Lavra often thought about the stories the children told. She learned to understand their fears and hopes. The children began to see Lavra as more than a caretaker. She was their family. One evening, as the sun set and the sky turned orange, Lavra and the children sat by the fire. They shared stories and laughed together. Pell held a small toy Lavra had made, and Rook showed how he could make the toy move with his many arms. Lynn and Xena made bracelets from flowers, and Tama smiled as she watched them. Lavra looked at the children and smiled. She knew that they had changed each other's lives forever. The children no longer saw her as the carnivorous human from the stories. They saw her as someone who loved and protected them. That night, Lavra whispered to the stars that she hoped their rescue would come soon. But she also knew that no matter what happened, she would always be there for the children. They were her family now, and nothing would change that. The children fell asleep feeling safe and loved. They dreamed of new adventures, of gardens full of fruit and of the stars above. Together they faced the future with hope and courage. After many weeks, a ship from the Galactic Alliance finally arrived on the planet Tiras. The children and Lavra saw the big ship come down through the gray sky. The ship was large and shiny, and it made a loud noise as it landed near their shelter. The children were excited but also a little nervous. They wondered what would happen next. Several aliens in official uniforms stepped out of the ship. They were tall and wore bright suits with badges. The children had never seen such important beings before. Lavra stood close to the children, ready to protect them if needed. The officials walked carefully toward the group. They looked at the shelter, at the small garden, and at the children themselves. One of the officials spoke in a calm voice. He asked Lavra many questions. They wanted to know how she took care of the children and how they survived so long on this wild planet. Some officials seemed surprised that Lavra, a human, was the one who cared for the alien children. They whispered to each other and looked at Lavra with doubt. They talked about how humans were carnivores and whether Lavra was safe to be with the children. The children heard the officials' whispers. They felt worried that Lavra might be taken away. Pell held Laura's hand tightly. Lynn and Rook looked at the officials with serious faces. Xena and Tama stayed close to Lavra, not wanting to be separated. Then the children spoke up. One by one, they told the official stories about Lavra. Pell said she gave them food and kept them safe from wild animals. Lynn told how Lavra taught them to build shelters and find clean water. Rook said Lavra was brave and helped them when they were scared. Xena spoke about the garden Lavra helped them grow. Tama smiled shyly and said Lavra was like family. The officials listened to the children. They watched how the children looked healthy and happy. The officials began to see that Lavra was not the scary carnivore they had heard about. Instead, she was kind and strong. She loved the children and cared for them. After a long talk, the officials made a decision. They said Lavara could stay with the children. They would help the group return to safety together. The officials promised to support Lavara as the children's guardian. Lavara felt tears of joy. The children cheered quietly, happy that they could stay with Lavara. They felt safe and loved. The officials helped prepare the shelter for their journey home. They brought supplies and new clothes for the children. Before leaving, Lavara knelt down and hugged each child. She told them she was proud of them and loved them all. The children hugged her back tightly. They knew their lives would change, but they would face the future together as the Galactic Alliance ship lifted off. Lavara and the children watched the planet below. They held hands and felt hope in their hearts. Lavara promised she would never stop protecting them. The children smiled, knowing they had found a family in a human once thought only as a carnivore. Together, they looked to the stars, ready for new adventures and a new life among the stars. The journey home was long. Lavara and the children sat together inside the Galactic Alliance ship. The children looked out the windows at the stars and planets passing by. They held hands, feeling safe and close. Lavara smiled, knowing this was a new start for all of them. When they arrived on Earth, the children were amazed by everything. The sky was blue, and the trees were tall and green. The air smelled different, fresh and clean. Lavara took their hands and led them through the busy city streets. The children saw many people, cars, and tall buildings. It was all very new and exciting. The officials from the Galactic Alliance helped Lavara with papers and arrangements. They said Lavara could officially adopt the children. This meant she would be their family in every way. Lavara's eyes filled with tears. The children were happy and hugged her tightly. Life on Earth was different but good. Lavara found a big house with a garden where the children could play. They planted flowers and trees, and the children told stories about their old planets. Lavara listened carefully and learned about their lives. The children started to go to school. They made new friends and learned new things. Lavara helped them with their homework and cooked meals that mixed foods from Earth and their home planets. The children liked the new food, and Lavara enjoyed trying their recipes too. Sometimes, the children still thought about their old homes. They missed the skies of their planets and the friends they left behind. Lavara understood and told them it was okay to feel sad. She said they had a new family now, and together they could build a new life. The children grew stronger and happier. Every day, they learned that being different was a gift. Their strange shapes and colors made them special. Lavara loved each child for who they were. One day, the children asked Lavara about the stories they heard on their planets. They wanted to know more about humans and why they thought humans were scary. Lavara told them that some people are afraid of things they do not understand. She said humans can be many things, some kind, some not, but that love and family are what matter most. The children smiled and nodded. They knew that Lavara was proof of the good in humans. They were proud to call her their mother. Years passed, and the children grew up. They never forgot the planet where they first met Lavara. They kept the garden alive, a symbol of their new life and love. Lavara watched them become strong, brave, and kind. They carried the lessons of Tiras and Earth in their hearts. Together, they faced the future with hope and courage. The alien children who were once afraid of the carnivorous human had found a family. They knew that love could cross any star, any planet, and any difference, and in that love, they were never alone.